Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Campaigners who want a 4-day week, and I think quite a lot of people do, are bringing this issue again, this time to the Labour government, because they think that will be more favourably looked on than under the Conservatives. And a poll would suggest that this is indeed the case. This whole scheme is brought forward because they say that you can do a 5-day week in a 4-day week because that extra day of rest will stop workers burning out. And the evidence seems weirdly to suggest that this is the case. It's run by a group called the 4-Day Week Campaign. And they're due to do this project in November to report its findings later. I think next summer is when they're going to report this. So they'd like to do this big sort of experiment where they can do this to show that it is feasible, a big feasibility study, effectively. I know South Cambridgeshire Council did this, I think, last year, the end of last year, and it was quite successful. Apparently, they've stopped doing it because they want to assess the results. But apparently, the results were very favourable. So it's one of those things that it looks like it's increasingly likely. I speak here, and I'm sure some of you will remember, I don't think there's been a reduction in hours in the working week since early 80s. I think it used to be a 40-hour working week, and they cut it down to 37.5-hour working week. But even so, we still work as a nation longer hours than just about anyone else in Europe. So I think it would be perhaps a good idea to maybe look at that. And also, you've got to think as well, the massive savings that would be achieved by people not having to drive to work and back 1 day a week. That's a 20% saving in driving, in commuting. Now, across the whole country, that's immense. I mean, that's a big saving, isn't it? So even from an environmental point of view, that could be a big selling point to the government. Anyway, the polling commissioned by the think tank, the Autonomy Institute, asked members of the public whether they would support the government creating a plan to move the UK towards a shorter working week, and more importantly, with no loss of pay. And Will Strong, the Director of Research, said, our polling shows that if Keir Starmer were to move ahead with this policy to enable the country to transition to a 4-day working week, he would have the support of vast amounts of people. Well, say it ain't so. Now, here's the number. This is the polling we got. 72% of people generally are for it. At that point, you've got no argument against. I mean, that is polling so incredibly strongly for it. However, and here's the difference, Tory voters were less keen, less than half, just 43% in favour. But surprisingly, 59% of those who would have voted Reform and Labour, 59% and 60% for it as well. The other way it was made up was people not saying who they voted for. I just get the impression in my head, why would the Tories be against it? But of course, the Tories are probably thinking, well, I like them working Fridays. I've got a 5-year-old who goes up and cleans my chimney on a Friday, and I've got 2 6-year-old girls in the scullery doing the dishes. Something like that. Who knows? But when almost half of Tories are favouring it, and then but across the spectrum, 72%, it's got to go through, hasn't it? It's got to be a thing. Let me know what you think. Do you think a 4-day working week would be a thing? A good thing? We all work Monday to Thursday and then have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off? More time with the family? Less time at work? Better quality of life? I think so. Let me know. Thank you. Bye.